Schumer came on to Roland Martin's show. Roland Martin, Democrat shill, says he's independent, but he promotes the Democratic Party. It just is what it is, right? Heavily supported and pushed Kamala Harris. Came after me quite a number of times on Twitter, as if that was going to change my mind. Hilarious. But anyway, Chuck Schumer went on to Roland Martin's show, and Roland Martin did ask him what the Democratic Party plans to do about the black vote. And indeed, what this means is that basically, acknowledging that Kamala Harris lost a portion of the black vote, which is something I told you guys after Trump won the 2024 presidential election. Listen to what Chuck Schumer says. This, you got to see this to believe it.
A lot of people already talking about 2026 Senate races. We saw in North Carolina more than 600,000 black voters who did not vote in 2024, more than 1 million in Georgia. Texas, largest group of black voters in the country. And you got a Senate race there as well. And I got to tell you straight, one of the great concerns that I have, and I'm being very frank, are too many, frankly, white Democratic strategists who are playing black people small. And when I looked at the Mandela Barnes race, when I looked at the race in North Carolina as well, too often what I'm hearing is that, and the same thing happened with in the Texas race, you had a candidate who was sitting here, a congressman, Colin Allred, they were not targeting African Americans at all. This is a huge issue that it needs to be addressed. The investment and the time and attention spent on black voters. And I don't think you're going to have a shot at winning seats in 2026 where you have a lot of black voters if these same strategists keep playing the same game. Are you and others talking to them say they've got to change how they are targeting key Democratic voters?
Yes.
Pause there for a second. Now, before we get into his answer, which is wiggity whack, first and foremost, why did Chuck Schumer interrupt Roland when he was still speaking? And he don't look happy about that. The fact that he basically brought up that the Democratic Party lost the black vote. They did in 2024. Kamala received less support among black voters than Biden, Hillary, and Obama. It's just a fact. But Chuck looked mad. Chuck does not look happy. Like, how dare you ask me that question? So he went on to a black commentator show, and he seems to be a little bothered by the fact that he asked them, what are you guys doing about outreach to the black community? Listen to what he says. This is wild, fam.
Especially black.
Yes. We have Cory Booker as head of our SCC, and he is focused on bringing in not black voters only, but black consultants, black influencers, and people who reach out to the community. All too often, Democrats miss that. We have Raphael Warnock, who's active in our DSCC, Democratic Senate Campaign Committee, doing the same. We have a woman who's from the community, Jessica Henry, who's in charge of giving out a lot of these contracts. And I'll give you one other interesting thing. It's related to what you say, but not direct. We have a chance to elect the first African-American U.S. Senator in Mississippi in a very long time.
Pause. Does everybody see what Chuck Schumer did? So Chuck basically told Roland Martin to his face, he is letting him know that, yeah, we have a plan to reach out to the black community, but it's not going to be me. He said it would be Cory Booker and Raphael Warnock, the puppet of puppets, both AIPAC shills. Of course, they would send them into the black community because while they're there, they're probably going to also have them try to convince black people to be pro-Israel. I got something to show you about that. You'll see what I mean. Raphael Warnock is a pastor. But what? So now he says we have the chance to elect the first black woman. So here we go with the first of the first. Now, I'm all for representation, but it doesn't mean anything if they're not actually going to do anything for the Black community. Hell, I voted for Barack Obama. He ain't do anything for us. There's representation, but so Chuck, number one, doesn't like that question was asked of him. First of all, if you go back to the very beginning of the interview when Chuck first comes on, because he doesn't come on at the beginning, he comes on later on in the show. Chuck Schumer wasn't there for 15 minutes. Let's continue.
This man, Scott Collum, was nominated to be the first African-American judge in Mississippi, federal judge in 100 years, and the incumbent woman in Senate, Hyde Smith, blocked him using the blue slip. He's running, and we're going all out. I have Derek Jackson of the NAACP working. I have Romero of the ACLU working. We're all working there, and if people are listening from Mississippi or friends and relatives in Mississippi, we can win this seat. But we'll only win it, as you say, by reaching out to the community from people who know the community.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because
Stop reaching out to the community for people who know the community. And we're supposed to assume that Cory Booker is one of those people. Cory Booker spends more time advocating for Israel and the Israel cause, more time hanging out with people like Rabbi Shmuley than he does so much with the Black community, because things really changed for him once he got that Senate seat. I remember his whole story. Like, I can tell you some things. I saw Cory Booker speak in 2020 in New Hampshire. I had this plan at this time to try to see as many candidates as I could in New Hampshire. That didn't really pan out well because the pandemic happened. But Cory Booker, I got to tell you, out of all the ones I've seen, had to be the fakest of fake. Fake it if fake. It's the eyes, like the eyes and the gesture. And I was just like, this guy is really performing. It was obvious. Knew he wasn't going to be president. Very obvious. But the point that Chuck Schumer made there is he let Roland Martin know this is not something that he is willing to do. And I think that's what people may have missed on this. We're passing it on to Cory Booker. And I get it. Some people are like, well, it should be done by other Black people. But even in that, he said Cory Booker is looking to hire Black consultants. They don't even want to go into the Black community and talk to Black people. They go to every other community. They go to every other event. But they don't want to go into the Black community to even talk to Black people. They're not going into the hood, that's for sure. They're not trying to get non-voters. As much as people bring up AOC, they forget to mention that AOC won. She beat Crowley because she got non-voters to register to vote. But it's almost like the Democratic Party, they act like they're afraid, like they're scared to go into the Black community. They don't even want to be around us. Let's go on.
That's one of my biggest issues. So whether it was Sherry Beasley or Colin Allred or Val Demings and some of the other races, it was driving me crazy as I was talking directly with their campaigns and was getting very little feedback. And so, again, that's a lot of people are paying attention to. And we've seen the Black voter drop, especially with Black men. And there has to be a very specific, targeted effort to reach African Americans. It's a lot different than what we've seen in the past decade, to be honest.
No question. We're going to do it.
All right.
Weak sauce from Chuck Schumer, right? No question. We're going to do it. He ain't like that. Look at the look on Chuck Schumer's face. He does not like that, right? So here's the thing. I said that to Roland Martin prior to the 2024 presidential election on social media. I told him, I've been talking to voters on the ground, and some of the Black voters, especially Black men, saying they are not going to vote for Kamala Harris. He called me every type of name in the book, but guess who was right in the end? Here's the problem. You see, Chuck Schumer letting you know that he not willing to go that extra mile to get you. He not going to put himself in that position. I mean, he is senator, leader of the Democratic Party, but he is not going to put himself in that position. He not willing to step out to go into Black communities and talk to the people. And when you leave that door open, that's why someone like Trump can walk right in. This is who Chuck Schumer said they are trying to help get the Black vote. Cory Booker, this guy, cozied up with Rabbi Shmuley. This is who he said they are sending out to go get the Black vote for the Democratic Party. With this guy. That's how close they are, right? So you can see it here. Cory Booker and the Orthodox rabbi were like brothers. Now they don't speak. Remember that? We talked about this before on the show. That was 2019. They've been together hanging out since. So that's who they want. They want to send people like Cory Booker, who went to Stanford, who a lot of times don't have things in common with the Black voters that they're trying to get. But because he's Black, let him go do it. It's just one of those things, you know? And some of you may be able to identify with this. It's just this belief that I guess Chuck Schumer just seems to have is like, well, Cory Booker's Black, Raphael Warnock's Black, let's just let them go do it. Cory Booker moved into a low-income neighborhood in New Jersey so that he could run for, I think it was mayor at that point in time. I always have this type of feeling about people who move to an area to run. So it gave people this impression of like, oh, he lives in a low-income area. Oh, that's so great of him. Oh, that was all part of the plan. AIPAC got a hold of him a long time ago. I'll show you how long ago. This is the guy that they want to go recruit Black voters. Cory Booker tells AIPAC how to recruit African Americans to the pro-Israel cause. We'll put the captions on for this one because the volume's kind of low. This was years ago.
A couple more questions. One more question, Barry. Barry says, Barry has spoken. This is a lot of pressure. The last question.
You spoke a lot about hope, and obviously you are someone who is very pro-Israel. We also heard beautiful remarks about some of the students on traditionally Black colleges, leadership, and what they've done. But could you give us your own evaluation of the African American leadership in the United States, and what is their feeling about Israel? And because oftentimes I think locally outside of New York, we find that there is become a greater identification not with the history of Israel and what Israel's become, but with the sufferings of the Palestinians without any really understanding of the history with Israel. So could you comment on African American leadership?
Well, Blacks are always going to.
Pause. Does everybody see what was happening there? So that gentleman said Black people are becoming more concerned about the suffering of the Palestinians without knowing the history of Israel. One, that's assuming that we haven't read and we don't know what we're talking about. No, we're just not brainwashed. Two, you're admitting that the Palestinians are suffering. But Cory Booker is there to behave in such a way to tap dance for the establishment and for Israel. So listen to what he says to them in this room. This is bad.
African American leadership.
Well, Blacks are always going to be, as Jews are, I think, always going to be some of the first to sign up to address the suffering of others. And we shouldn't be afraid of that within the Black community, within the Jewish community, within whatever community. But when it comes to justice for Israel and understanding any suffering within context, we need to be more vigilant than we're being right now. And so within the Black community, and I say this all the time, and you asked specifically about Black leadership. First of all, this excites me like never before, because Obama is a raindrop compared to the storm that's coming of young Black leaders around this country who are phenomenally qualified, phenomenally experienced. You're going to see more Black governors, you're going to see more Black senators, you're going to see critical that you find that you continue to find, not them when they're Congress people, you find those black leaders when they're 22-year-olds at Oxford, when they're 24-year-olds as a city council president, and you go to them then and say, come to Israel. Let us start showing you what this is about.
That's the tap dancing Cory Booker. Here he is advising the pro-Israel crowd of AIPAC here. This is AIPAC he's talking to. How to get black people on for their cause. That's the Cory Booker that Chuck Schumer wants to go talk to black voters. I mean, it's like, seriously, if we were back during the slave days, it's like Cory Booker is choosing to be the house slave. He's choosing to be the one that he heard that the slaves out in the field are planning to try to find a way to run away. And he overheard the plan. So he go back into the house and he go tell master what the plan is. He's basically just, let me tell you how to get them. Get them when they're young. What did I tell you? That's what they've been doing. This is who he wants to go get the black voters. Cory Booker selling out the black community to a genocidal state, to an oppressive state. Can you imagine this when you think about it? The fact that black people, everything that we've been through in this country, that and still go through, that we're supposed to back and support a state of people that are oppressing and occupying another group of people. And I point out Cory Booker because he's one to come first and talk about civil rights. Civil rights this, police brutality that, we gotta fight, yada, yada. But he don't support civil rights for Palestinians. You see, Cory seems to be one of the ones that they got when he was young. So that's who they want to go in and do the bidding. Here he is selling black people out. Not one black person in the room, but him.
That's a key mission of AIPAC that must continue, which is finding future leaders, young leaders in America. I'm at the.
You see that? Zed Jelani was the one who was in that room that captured that. Or he wants Raphael Warnock. He wants Raphael Warnock, this guy. He wants him to go out there and get the black voters. Now, he's a pastor, right? So he has a congregation or had a congregation. Obviously still does anymore. Has a congregation, etc. This guy who took over $900,000 from AIPAC. You see, Raphael Warnock, just because you said we need to get aid into Gaza, your hands are not clean. Another sellout. And let me say something else, because this is about the black church. The black church is a part of this too, and a part of the problem in many ways, because the black church decided a long time ago, you know what? We're not going to look out for the betterment of the black community. We're going to sell out to Democrat politicians, fake nonprofit organizations, donors that come through, Jim Clyburn. We're going to sell out to those entities. And of course, also to Israel. This is the same guy that when he was running, he had a sermon that went viral on social media because he was talking about, according to the Bible, Jesus would have been a socialist. Ain't heard him talk about none of that since. So we have to be careful about the people who appear to be one way. They say the right thing to get that support from people who support those progressive policies. But once they get in, they just operate like everybody else. So the plan, I think, is to have them to go in because they're pro-Israel. They take money from AIPAC, have them go in and do that. And another thing I want to point out, we go back to this article here, this interview that happened with Chuck Schumer, March of 2025, because I want to make a point here where he talks about what his job is to do. Here we go. Yeah, right about here. This is Chuck Schumer. But he also warned that the greatest danger to Israel long term is if you lose half of America, the liberal half. He's talking about Netanyahu. One of Netanyahu's previous visits to the United States, Schumer told me he urged Prime Minister to go on to Rachel Maddow and not just Sean Hannity. Netanyahu ignored the advice, and Schumer, in a Senate speech later, called for new elections to replace him, for which he remains fiercely proud. It showed Democrats, he said, that it's possible to oppose Netanyahu while championing the Jewish state. Here's the part we got to highlight. My job, he told me, is to keep the left pro-Israel. Now, first of all, I would say Democrats aren't actually left. The Democratic Party is a right-wing party. It's not a far right-wing party, but it's still a right-wing party. And two, this points back to what I said about Cory Booker and Raphael Warnock. Chuck Schumer said his job is to make sure that the left remains pro-Israel. So he is sending in Cory Booker and Raphael Warnock to energize Black people to come out and vote for the Democratic Party. And both of them just happen to be pro-Israel and puppets of AIPAC. And another thing, this also go to show you something, and Roland Martin should have pushed back on this. Chuck Schumer basically was letting Roland Martin know that he wasn't going to go out there and get his hands dirty like that, but also that he was going to look out for his people. You see how this works? Last thing I saw Chuck Schumer do for the Black community was virtue signaling. And that was him wearing that kente cloth, looking like a clown. This is what I've been trying to wake people up to. He gonna go support and help his people, but he want you to also go and help his people. Everybody's supposed to stop what they doing at some point, and they supposed to go over and help Israel. But everybody else doesn't have to stop what they're doing and come over and help the Black community. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's the Democratic Party. The Republican Party is very clear about where they stand on this, but my problem is the Democratic Party pretends like they give a shit when they don't. I can't believe he was only on there for 15 minutes. But he did not like that question at all. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.